Hi everybody, I am Zehra and I'm going to tell you about this chapter 7 of critical thinking. And in this chapter we are going to discuss analyzing argument. There are two methods for analyzing argument, one for short argument and the other one is for longer argument. And we are going to begin with short arguments. Firstly, what is diagramming? Diagramming is a quick and easy way to analyze relatively short arguments. And this section explains how the diagramming methods work. There are 5 steps to diagram short arguments. Step 1 is we are going to look at the paragraph and circle premises and conclusion indicator. As we see in this paragraph, we are going to read it throughout and then circle if we see any premise or conclusion indicator. In this sentence, we just have because as a premise indicator. And if we come to the second step, we are going to number the statement consecutively as they appear in the argument. Like that, our first statement is the death penalty should be abolished, and we omit the premise, the indicators, and the second is it's radically discriminatory, and the other is it is more effective deterrent that life imprisonment, and the last one is innocent people may be executed by mistake. We number the statement, and our third step is arrange number on a page, as we see in here, first, 2, 3, and 4. And in the fourth step, we are going to omit if we have any logically irrelevant statement, and finally, we are going to show relationship between argument by drawing arrows. I'm going to do our diagramming. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we are going to show relationship between them by arrowing, draw arrowing, like here. We completed our diagramming. 2, 3, and 4 is our premises, and 1 is conclusion. And there are 2 types of premises. One is linked and the other one is independent. The linked premises means when the omission of one of the premises would cancel or reduce the amount of support provided by the other. As we see in this example, there are 3 statements, and if we omit the statement 1 or the statement 2, it will reduce the amount of support provided by other. So it's a linked premises because all the statement is linked with each other. We cannot omit any one of the premises. And when we come to the independent premises, 2 premises are independent when neither premise would provide less support for the conclusion if the other premise were omitted. And here is an example again. Nick doesn't own a car. Nick is legally blind, so Nick probably won't drive a car to the game. If we omit one of the premises, our argument will not reduce or cancel because the premises are not linked with each other. Otherwise, the other example, they are independent with each other, so we call it as its independent premises. And let's practice this diagramming technique with a few examples. Here's an example. And first we circle all the premise and conclusion indicator. In this sentence, our indicator is so. It's a conclusion indicator. There is not any other indicator. And the next, we number the statement in the argument consecutively. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There are 5 statements, and then we check to see if there are any logically irrelevant statements in the argument. And as we see in the sentence, the statement 3 is clearly irrelevant. It's simply an aside that provides no support whatsoever for the conclusion. Thus, we will omit it from our diagram. We're going to omit it. Finally, we diagram the argument by arranging the numbers on the page with premises and placed above the conclusions. 1, 2, 3. And when we look at this sentence, as we see, the premises are linked with each other. So I'm going to put there a plus mark because it represents the linked premises. And our diagram should be like that for this example. And here is another example. And we are going to, firstly, we are going to circle any premise and conclusion indicator if we have, and we have so as a conclusion indicator. We circled it already. And in the second step, we are going to number them. 1 is Agatha is a mother, 2 is Agatha is an aunt, and 3 is Agatha is a female. And in the third, we are going to arrange it on the paper. 1, 2, and 3 is our conclusion. And we are going to have a look to whether there is an logically irrelevant premises, and we have not logically irrelevancy in this example. So we can come to our final step. Final step is show the relationship between them, and we drawing arrows. And it's a independent premises, because Agatha is a mother is the first premises, and Agatha is an aunt is another premises. They are not linked with each other. If we omit any of them, our argument will not, there won't be any problem. So it's a independent, and so we don't need to put here plus, because we put here plus, it means that it's a linked premises. So we should not put here a plus. And our argument, our diagram is like that. And here is a more complex example. As we have said before, first step is we circle all premise and conclusion indicator. Here is thus is a conclusion indicator. We circled it, and therefore is also in the conclusion indicator. And also here is finally because is a indicator. And in the second step, we number them. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we check to see whether any of the number statement is irrelevant to the argument, and when we have seen it, there is no irrelevant statement. So finally we diagram the argument by arranging numbers on a page with premises. Finally, premise 1 and premise 2 clearly work conjointly to support premise 3. Premise 1 and premise 2 is support premise conclusion 3, and as we know, thus is a conclusion indicator, so we can say that the third statement is conclusion statement, and statement premise 1 and premise 2 is linked with each other, so we put here plus, and then 3 and 5 provide linked support for 4. We diagrammed it as we have seen on the page. And when it comes to tips on diagram and argument, this section provides a few tips on how to diagram arguments like a profession. The first step is find the main conclusion first. As we see, one sentence can include more than one conclusion, but there must be a main conclusion. So our first task is find the main conclusion, and then we should pay close attention to premise and conclusion indicator, as we did in the previous examples. And in the third step, we should treat conditional statement as a single. If here is an example: if I win the lottery, then I'll move to Thai. We cannot divide it into two parts. The first is if I win the lottery, and the other is I'll move to Thai. We should not do like that. This is a single statement. We should not divide it into two parts. And fourth step, don't diagram irrelevant statement. We should omit irrelevant statement. We said that before. And fifth step is don't diagram redundant statements. We completed the parts of diagramming short arguments. When it comes to summarizing longer arguments, there are two ways to summarize longer argument. The first one is paraphrasing, and the other is standardization. For paraphrasing, a good paraphrase is accurate, and also a good paraphrase is clear and conscious, and it should be charitable. And then our other part is finding missing premises and conclusion. In real life, people often leave parts of their argument unstated, and sometimes a premise is left unstated. Here's a two good example to be able to understand better. Example 1 is, I'm sorry, I can't sell you any beer, you are under 21. So I can't sell beer to anyone under 21. As we realized, there is not conclusion part. So the conclusion part is left unstated, so there is a missing conclusion. In the other example, she is Cuban, so she is probably hot-tempered. There is a missing premises because firstly we should say that most Cubans are hot-tempered. She is Cuban, so she is probably hot-tempered. There is a missing premises. And there are common mistakes to make when we standardize arguments. We should avoid them, and it takes practice to become good at standardizing arguments. And here are some common mistakes to watch out for. The first is don't write incomplete sentence. And the second, don't include more than one statement. And don't include anything. Don't include anything that is not statement. And don't include anything that is not a premise or a conclusion. And to sum up, in this chapter we have learned to analyze arguments, how we break it up into various parts to see clearly what conclusion is being defended and on what grounds. And then we have learned to analyze short arguments, and we have seen the parts of diagramming short argument. The first step is read throughout the argument carefully and circling any premise or conclusion indicator you see, and then number the statement consecutively and arrange the numbers speedily on a page with the premises, and omit any logically irrelevant statement. And finally we show a relationship between a statement by drawing arrows. And then we have learned to analyze longer arguments, and there are 5 basic steps in standardizing argument. Read throughout the argument carefully and identify the main conclusion, and then omit any unnecessary or irrelevant material, and then number the steps in the argument and list them in the correct logical order, and fill in any missing premises and conclusion, and add justification for each conclusion in the argument. That's all. Thank you for listening.